Welcome to KdKp Noire. I'm K Noire. Today we're talking NewJeans. Legality versus loyalty. What does that really mean? Well, let's dive into it. Almost a year ago, NewJeans announced that they were going to be taking a new direction and leaving their parent company, Ador, whom they were contracted with, and moving to their own new direction with their manager, Hee Jin. Now, this caused a lot of talk, controversy in the industry. Now, why did it do that? Because when they made the announcement, I think it was in November, maybe in late October, early November, they were still contracted, allegedly under Ador. Now, I will put this disclaimer out here before we go any further into the discussions. I am not an attorney. I am not a legal representative for NewJeans, Ador, Hybe, anyone. This is just an opinion, and that's what we're giving. So, to continue, NewJeans actually made a public statement where they put out that they were going to be going in their own new direction, doing their own new music, and partnering with their manager, Hee Jin. Well, sounds good. However, they were still up under contract with Ador, which is a Hybe subsidiary, and that caused a little bit of conflict. Some people say, well, how does that work? Well, that works like this. They signed a contract with Ador for a specified period of time, stating that they would make music, do blogs, do all these events, music shows, whatever it was that was specified in the contract. It was detailed out. They also had some promotional opportunities there that allowed them to be like ambassadors for different brands and things like that. That was also part of that as well. Now, they were being managed by Hee Jin. Now, Hee Jin had some ties in with Ador Hybe at that time, CEO rights in some aspects. There were, other managing rights in other aspects. It just became really murky and cloudy in a lot of ways. Now, when you're looking at it, legality versus loyalty or loyalty versus legality, it can be murky. And murky meaning that not clear, not concise, not working. So when these girls, they're 5 girls, 5, and they were considered to be the next girls, really it group. They just really took the world by storm with their music. It was just so infectious, so catchy, so trendy. They were new, they were fresh, they were just on it. Everybody loved this group. These girls were picturesque, perfect. When I say that, I mean, in their looks, in their demeanor, in their attitude, in their dance moves, everything that they portrayed as a group came across to be the next K-pop sensation. When they made this announcement, it became controversial because everybody said, well, how did they do this and still be up on the contract with Ador? Well, Ador said the same thing. They, maintained that they held their end of the bargain, that there was no loophole, nothing in there that stated that they could just exit the contract. Now, allegations came up that stated that they were being treated unfairly by Ador or Hybe, by certain members of the Hybe group or members that were in the vicinity of where they were. And I think at that group, it was Islet, that they were saying that, they had been mistreated by, wasn't given a lot of respect by. And, the allegations are just rampant, how this all kind of transpired. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We were not there. So when you look at it and you say, okay, so allegations of mistreatment and or harassment and or, unfair treatment in their contract or unfair terms in their contract, it just put up a lot of things in question. So when it all boiled down to it, they ended up being in this long court battle. They're still in a court battle. And we're going to get to that because there's a twist that's happening currently right now at this time regarding that. But if we're going back and taking it from that specific time when the incident occurred, it was a lot of things that were, being alleged that were happening with it. When they actually went to court on several different occasions, NewJeans were, did not come out on top in any of those court appearances. Ador, the court upheld Ador's, contract, stating that NewJeans just couldn't walk out like that. There were certain stipulations to that contract, and we don't know the ins and outs of that contract. But what we do know is that, when you're dealing with contract or worker rights and things like that, if you are classified as a worker, there are certain ways that the company has to adhere to treating you, with breaks and, making sure that you're paid appropriately, make sure they're not overworking you, making sure that, you get what the contract says you're going to do, whether it's showing up to the events, whether it's clothing, whether it's makeup, whether it's studio time, whatever it is, they have to abide by that. And allegedly, Ador did. They said they held up their end of the bargain on that. Each time when NewJeans was trying to go in a new direction, they came and supported them. We're here. We're providing you with hair, makeup, whatever you need. We're here. We're holding up our end of the deal. Now, Hee Jin, there's a lot of controversy with her. And this goes over to the loyalty side of the house. Loyalty meaning these girls, were with Hee Jin from the beginning. She kind of groomed them. She might have been matronly or motherly to them in a certain sense. Or she could have been sisterly to them for all we know. We don't know. But we do know they developed a special relationship with her. They were very committed and dedicated to being, part of her team, part of her vision, part of her outcome, whatever that may be for the group. They were very much committed to it. Those girls, and at one point there was speculation that not all of them were that committed. It was only, 3 out of the 5 or 4 out of the 5. And then it was the parents were involved and the uncle was involved and this person was involved. At the end of the day, they all said they were committed in standing by Hee Jin. And they were sticking with whatever the vision is that she had for them. That, my dear folks, is called loyalty. Now, I'm not saying that was legally how it was supposed to be with Hybe or Ador, but they were loyal to Hee Jin and what she was promising them. Now, she had been with them. She had supported them. She had their whole concept, vision, how they came about was her. And she had had a prior history of doing that with other groups, and successful, might I add, when she did it with other groups. So there was not like a lot of things that were saying that she couldn't be successful with them too. So again, this is very, controversial situation. When it all kind of settled and boiled down, we started seeing the girls show up in different aspects. Some of them would show up at brand events as a brand ambassador at certain events. Some of them, would show up, I think they did a Coca-Cola commercial or iPhone commercial at one point. One of their last performances, though, was at a music show in Japan, where, again, Ador came and supported them, was providing them with hair, makeup, whatever it is that they needed to do, the audio and everything else to do this performance. But they decided they're going to do their own. They were very much into their own realm of doing things. They were putting out, they did their own makeup, they did their own hair. Allegedly, they did their own clothing and everything for this performance. But the performance, and even their own cameras for the performance, they said they had help from people in Japan helping them at that time, allegedly. But what you saw in that performance was, as some would say, very lackluster. It was not what we were used to seeing from this vibrant energy group of girls who had been putting out great content, great music, great everything months prior to that. But we see they were holding on, they were supporting, they were being loyal to Hee Jin, they were standing by her and sticking by her story no matter what. That was the demise, really, in my opinion, of that group. I love this group. I thought that these girls having to make that decision, and we don't know if they had lawyers on hand. Some people said they did. Some people said their parents were on hand and their parents were supporting them too. But the whole premise of this in general is that it ended with them not doing anything. They could not do anything. And here we are, fast forward, we're coming up on a year, and they have not put out any new music, any new content, or anything. At one point in December, we thought they were going to come out with NJZ, and the courts ruled against that as well too, that they couldn't market on that brand. So you saw that go down. But if you fast forward to now, there's new developments here. The new developments are that Hee Jin is now gotten the approval to do her own entertainment label, to do events and marketing and music and a whole bunch. And it's called OK Ltd. I think that's what it is. That's happening. But ironically, what we see is that this is happening days before the court date for NewJeans, the final court date of the year, in Seoul, Korea court. This would mean maybe Hee Jin is thinking that they'll just Ador will let it go. Maybe she knows something we don't know. But speculation is, chatter is that, hey, they may be going over with Hee Jin. That's what she's prepping for. This is where they may land, which would be great. Everybody would love to see these girls win. We all love them. They're a great group, great marketing, great concept, great content, everything. We want to see them win. That's for sure. I think that if that is the case and that does happen, great. Hallelujah. We will all be in so much gratitude for it. However, if it doesn't, then they have to go back to, is this loyalty? Do we follow that? Or do we do legality? Because the loyalty of it will keep them not working at all. And so what does that mean for the fan base? What does that mean for their current music? Whatever they have in the background, in the works. What does that mean for any of their brand ambassadorships? Did they lose them all? Allegedly, some people said that they did. No company wants to kind of get involved with something that's going on legally that's not settled. If it was settled and they've already decided how that was going to go, I'm pretty sure the brand ambassadorships and everything would just, rake up and really, just come to forefront. But if it isn't, then, what now? What do these girls do? Is it solo projects that they're going to do? Is there a way for them to get out of contract and do solo projects? The way that it sounded, allegedly, probably not. And that's kind of sad because these girls were on the prefaces of being this humongous group. And there's been so much time that's lapsed, of them not being out, them not being in contact, them not being in the public doing something. Because, the whole K-pop, thing that happens is they're always doing something, whether it's vlogging with their, fans, whether it's, getting on, little chats and different things with their fans, putting out little mini albums, fan meet and greets, tours, mini tours. They're doing stuff all the time. So what's left for this group? That's the question we hope to someday have an answer with, and I might be back and tell you about the answer. But for today, we have to ask the question, NewJeans, legality or loyalty? Where will they land and when? We hope it's somewhere in between, or just, on the right side, or whatever that is right to them, because we love these girls and we want to see them go forth and win. So until next time, thanks for watching.